So you have to sort of have judgment about when the product is ready to scale against it. And so we would debate this over and over again. And so Larry and Sergey would play tricks on me. So a typical example would be, I would say, we're not strong enough to take on Microsoft. And they wanted to do an operating system and a browser. And I said, there's no scenario where we'll ever do an operating system and a browser. And because Microsoft will kill us, and I don't want to get killed. We're a small company, and yes, you're very smart, and yes, we're full of smart people, and yes, we have lots of revenue. These guys can kill us because I'd been previously killed in the previous jobs. And so they hired somebody to improve the performance of Firefox. 6 months later, I'm called down to one office, and this person who was supposed to improve the performance of Firefox has managed to invent Chrome. Shocking.
Yes.
And I say, well, how long have you been doing this? Well, I've been doing it on the side. No, you haven't. You've done it full time. Well, yeah, I had 3 other people. Okay, well, how many more people do you have? Oh, 10 more people. Well, did Larry and Sergey know about this? Larry and Sergey encouraged it. I said, those assholes, right? It's just, I knew it. I knew they were going around me, right? Okay?
Yes.
So, and then I said, well, we can't do an operating system. So they bought this company called Android, and they said, yeah, it's just for smartphones. It's software for smartphones. Don't worry, Eric. Today, Android is 1.4 billion plus operating systems used, largest number of operating systems in the world. Chrome is the largest and most successful browser. So maybe the lesson to learn in management is I'm just wrong all the time. But the secret was you have to have judgment as to when these things can scale, right? And I can give you plenty of negative examples. An obvious one is Wave, right? It was a complicated email product that we launched to great fanfare, and we watched its adoption rate. Marissa had this rule, which is a good rule, that you cannot, at Google, you cannot tell how successful a product is until the first 6 months. Because what happens is you get this adoption cycle, and everyone loves the product because everyone tests it, and then you watch what happens. And the great products, they're bumpy, but they go up. Well, this is what it looked like this. So it took Eric, your friendly CEO, 18 months of going straight down before that project was canceled, right? So again, lack of due diligence last. So the reason I'm answering your question in the blitz growth argument by saying you've got to have the products that you can scale.
Yep.
If you have the products that can scale, the thing that's new is you can scale very quickly. The Uber example. Yep. Once you have an app and a business model that more or less works, there's no reason why you shouldn't go global and wide. When I started at Google, I sat down. My first concern with Google was I thought the whole thing was a sham. The company was using QuickBooks for its accounting, and I was convinced that there were errors. So I asked to be shown the actual cash balance in the bank. There was, in fact, cash in the bank, which was shocking to me. So then the sales guy, his name was Omid, who's now just gone off to Twitter, I said, okay, well, where's this money coming from? He said, well, we have Salesforce, we sell these ads. Who clicks on these ads? Well, nobody. Well, okay, whatever. It must be some fake thing. So we investigated, we decided people really were clicking on these ads. So I said, well, how many clicks do you get outside of America? And he said, well, none. He said, well, no, you have lots of traffic. So I said, leave and go to Europe and don't come back until you have sales operations in Britain, the UK, and France, which is a strange thing to say to somebody. So this is a month after I'd started. And so he left. And he came back in 3 weeks, having set up those operations. Today, the operations he set up contributes 60% of the profits of a $60 billion corporation, right?
Yep.
So in hindsight, I should have done it a month earlier, right? Think about the compound value of that decision.
Yep.
So there's a point when you keep it small, and there's a point where you expand. When you expand, you grow very, very quickly, right? And it has to be replicable. So let's use Uber as an example. Always the favorite example because everybody understands Uber, as I said. Do you believe that the Uber model scales well outside the United States? Well, ask the French, okay? The French love it, but the government hates it, right? So they need 2 problems. They need a scalable app, and they need a scalable negotiation strategy with the governments, right? So now you can guess how far they'll be, right? Google had the same problem with China, and we lost.